Johnny Wunder, Callaway Golf. I am here with Mr. Jon Rahm. JR, what's going on?
Not much. Having a fun day, so let's get right to it.
Let's get right to it. So we're going to do the what's in the bag, the official what's in the bag. So new Callaway Staffers 2021, 14 brand new golf clubs and a new golf ball in the bag.
15 with this one in here.
15 with this one in here. So let's just stop from the top down. Talk about the driver. So you're in the Epic Speed Triple Diamond LS.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the head. What did you experience? What do you like about it?
You know, I'm gonna get this out the way. I'm the last person to talk about loft, specs, shafts, because I never ask details on the club. Okay. I just hit the golf ball and give feedback and basically, you know, feel what's best for me.
Okay.
Same with the driver. I couldn't tell you anything about it. I just we just work throughout things until I find one that I'm comfortable with. And yeah, this was the head we ended up with. You know, it's a great driver. It's a long driver and very forgiving. Stats show it.
Right.
I've been pretty good this year, so hopefully I can keep it up.
Well, I do want to ask you a question though, but what do you identify as a good golf club for you? Say you're a field player, obviously, but there is things that you will identify about a golf club that works. So what is it?
Yeah, so nowadays, there's so much that goes into adjusting the golf club, right? The first thing to me, it needs to be appealing to the eye, and they all are. You know, the design team does a great job. They're all beautiful looking. And then the feel, when the impact, you know, make sure the impact is not odd, and then the sound. There's a lot of things that go into it. You know, the acoustics of the club can make a difference.
Right.
And that's everything I really look for, right? Obviously, number one thing is ball flight. Does the golf ball go where I want it to go? Does the club perform the way I want it to perform, right? Everything else is secondary.
Okay, are you one of those players that, you know, could pick up a new golf club, hit a few, you hit one left, and all of a sudden the club's got to go, or can you work around that? Like on tour, that's kind of a popular.
When it comes to the driver, I can hit one and tell you if it's going to work or not.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I have very specific swing dynamics, right? So I can tell you right away what's going to work and what's not going to work. And I know what I usually like in a driver. Obviously, I'm a fader of the golf ball, so certain ideas I have in mind. You know, I have lofted clubs because of my bowed wrist. I usually like weight on the toe to facilitate that fade.
Okay.
And right away, I can tell you, you know, if it's going to work out or not. It's just something, you know, after so many golf balls, you get used to it.
Right. So I want to talk really quickly about your shafts.
Yes.
It's been well documented. All of the tour green. It's a shaft that you just know, right?
Yeah.
How hard is it going to be for you to wiggle out of these, or is that ever going to happen?
Well, I've had the shaft on my woods since freshman year of college.
Okay.
So that's going on 9 years now. And the shafts on my iron since I think sophomore or junior year of high school. So yeah, it's gonna be hard to have me change. They've tried.
Right.
Even the guys who made this shaft made me, you know, come to me with a new one. It's the same shaft, it looks the same. It's just never really the same.
Sure.
So, you know, a lot of times I find myself going to my old clubs and grabbing the shaft from my old clubs because not two shafts are the same. So I'm very particular that way. When something works, I don't steer away from it.
Okay.
That's why, you know, the process is strict until I find something that I like.
Let's talk about your fairway woods. So these are prototype woods.
Yes, they are.
So you have a 15-degree 3-wood and obviously a 5-wood. Same setup. The bag DNA doesn't change much for you. Let's just talk about, since these are prototypes, what is your testing process like?
Yeah.
So you barely hit these at all, right? So
just a couple of days at home on the golf course.
Okay.
Not much. You know, nowadays the guys, Tim and Kellen, have done an amazing job of getting clubs pretty close to dialed in, basically from the beginning. You know, they have the specs from the past and they know what I like. I typically like spinnier woods.
Okay.
Why? Like I said, I'm a fader of the golf ball. I want my 3-wood and 5-wood to be able to draw.
Okay.
Right. So I need a little bit more spin for that, and I also like the height when it comes to the fades. If I'm ever hitting it into the green, I have no problem de-lofting and taking spin off the golf ball. So that's why I go with that process. So yeah, it says 15 degrees, but you know they've done a lot of work, so it's probably more than 15. Same with the 5-wood. Just in this sense, right? I mean, these new woods are great, and they go a little bit different to the turf. And for somebody with my swing characteristics, it's something I really like.
Yeah, I want to ask you about that. So what they did to this thing, it's going to be really hard to see on camera, but there's a lot of camber in this sole here, right?
Yeah.
So that's for good turf interaction. How important is that turf interaction for you on a fairway? It's got to be huge, right?
Extremely. Okay. Extremely. You know, I can get steep. I can get really steep, especially the times I'm trying to take spin off of it. Right. And if I'm trying to hit a low one, something like that. So I need that turf interaction. I need that wood to go through the turf perfectly, or at least properly, because if it gets stuck, that ball can go right or left real quick. So that's very, very important, especially with the 5-wood mainly, because a lot of times you want that you know, I might try to get the 5-wood out of a rough lie in the rough, a bad lie in the fairway, trying to get some height and spin going for a green, without the rough, you know, trying to basically salvage a shot, right? So it's very important with the 5-wood.
So you want to be able to beat down on that club, don't you, a little bit?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, so you are in the Apex TCBs, which is, you know, pretty similar DNA of an iron that you've played for basically your whole career.
Yeah.
Talk to me just about these irons. They're what we would call tour parts. So what do they do? What do we like about them?
Well, nothing specific in general, right? I mean, we always start with the, like I said, with the look of it. Looks very similar to what I've played my whole life. That's actually something comforting, you know, look something down, it's familiar, I can swing it, same shaft. And then when it comes to the irons, again, turf interaction and forgiveness, right? That's why I haven't played muscle backs in quite a while, even though I'm a pretty good ball striker, because if you don't hit the center with those, you might pay for it. Right. So I want to be able to have a little bit more of a relaxed feel over the ball, knowing that I don't have to hit every single shot perfect. So that's why I go with these irons. And then after that, it's a lot of process figuring out the loft of each one of them to make sure it goes the distance I want it to go.
And you're getting the spin you need to, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you need the launch and spin that we're looking for to be able to keep the gaps consistent and be, you know, and just keep the iron play as consistent as possible.
But let's be honest, how often do you really miss hit it though? You really miss hit it all that
More than people think. I mean, more than people think.
All right.
That's why I have those, right? I mean,
Okay.
if I went with something a little bit thinner, you know, you might see some bigger misses than what you see now.
Okay, so let's move on to the wedges. So these are wedges, you know, there's been lots of pictures of these going around. These are the Jaws Forged. This is not because this is you and I talking, but you're the best wedge player I've seen in a long time.
Me? Well, thank you.
Since your countryman, Seve Ballesteros, like, you know, very similar type wedge play. What are you looking for in a wedge? As far as the grind, how it interacts with the turf, like what is that pure feel, or is there some technical things that need to happen?
I'm gonna say, looking at the camera, I'm pretty sure there's a couple Callaway staff players. They're decent wedge players. You know,
there's one that's hitting from the other side that's pretty good.
Phil's pretty good, but there's one other one that hasn't been playing his best, which is Wesley, who's an amazing wedge player as well. So I try to learn a lot from both of them. With the wedges, I can tell you how the process went. Okay. You know, when I first changed, we went to the ECPC and I basically asked for every single wedge Callaway's makes to try it. Every single one of them. And it turns out I basically hit shots, every single shot, and it gets to a point where I know it right away. Right. And as soon as I grabbed the 60, I was like, okay, this is it. And the 56, you know, the people that were there that day can tell you, I fell in love with the 56. And the great thing about it for me is this is how they make the clubs. It doesn't need any special grinding, it doesn't need any special weighting. This is how the heads are built, which is perfect because they can be replicated constantly. So again, look and feel and performance. That's what I'm looking for in clubs. I know it sounds simple, but it's a lot to ask for.
Sure. I mean, is 56 for you a full shot club, or is it something you use around the greens a little bit?
You know, I rarely hit anything past a 9, short of an 8-iron full swing.
Okay.
Rarely, especially the wedges. I mean, I never hit a 60 full on unless I'm in the rough and I need some crazy spin. 56 or 52, I don't need them. You know, that's why I have 3. I can always club up and make an easier swing and be more consistent.
Right.
So yeah, I mean, these two are mainly around the greens.
Okay.
I'm trying to use the 56 more lately. I've been the kind of guy who, as soon as we think 30 yards to the green, give me the 60.
Grab the 60.
And we'll figure it out. I'm trying to incorporate the 56 a little bit more. I've been, you know, trying to learn how to hurt some shots and become more versatile around the greens. But yeah, you know, I'll never hit those full. I mean, the great wedges would be too much spin to control.
Sure.
Right? If I'm ever doing it, it's a downwind, short pin, US Open greens type situation.
When you have to,
yeah. Unless there's no other option, I'll be doing that. Otherwise, I'm always 3/4 swings.
I want to talk about the golf ball. So that was, when you switched over, that was the one thing that really intrigued me, was a quick switch to the golf ball.
Yeah.
So I heard, you know, talking to Jacob Davidson on the truck, who was kind of responsible for fitting into a lot of this stuff. He said specifically there was a shot that you really liked around the greens. It was that little 30-yard chip that came out a little lower than the previous stuff you were playing before. What does that look like? Can you walk us through that a little bit?
Well, you know, the one thing I love about the golf ball is, compared to what I've used in the past, it still holds up in the long game. You know, it still launches high, goes really straight. The wind doesn't affect it as much as I thought it was going to, especially when you take in consideration the fact that with the shorter shots, inside an 8-iron maybe inside the 9, it launches a little bit lower with more spin.
Right.
So I was surprised, I can tell you, when I went to Kapalua, both me and Adam, my caddy, when I was hitting shots and the wind wasn't taking it everywhere like I expected to. So it was a great way to learn. Jacob is right. That day at the Callaway, I was hitting those 30, 40 yarders, especially with the 56, and that ball was coming out low.
Which you love, though,
with
right?
a ton of
Yeah.
spin. I mean, I love to hit that golf shot. I grew up in very soft greens with a lot of slope, so you needed that. You needed that first skip that then checks, right? So, you know, it's been a while. Probably when you have new wedges, it's pretty easy to do often, but it still holds up. Even this way, I haven't changed this 56 in quite a while.
Okay.
And that shot still comes up. So yeah, it was important for me to see that extra spin around the green, because more spin, yeah, more, let's say more variables to control, but also more options around the green, and that's the beauty about it.
When you're choosing golf balls, do you work from the green back, or are you a guy that looks at the data off the tee? Like, how does that work?
Well, I did a little bit of a trial round before I decided, and I was, I think, more concerned on long shots.
Right.
But that day I went, okay, let's see if I can chip with it first, because I know I really trust my ball striking capabilities, right? So I know I'm gonna be able to figure it out, but around the greens, you can only do so much. So when I started hitting certain shots, and I was like, oh, this is nice, right? If I like it around the green, we'll move on, and it was an instant yes.
Quickly want to talk about the putter. So you're in the white, the 2-ball 10, white hot insert. Really quickly, what do you like about this putter?
Putted with the 2 balls, I think, for 12 years of my life. Same face, and having the opportunity to have that you know, a classic white hot face, it was important to me. And again, familiarity, right? I had a great career with the 2 balls, played a lot of good golf, made a lot of putts, and just being able to put something similar in the bag gave me a lot of confidence. So again, just look, feel, and performance.
Feels like home. Thanks, man. Appreciate it.
My pleasure.